Hello again, Michael Ware with Iowa Firearms Coalition. We have Hollie Zajicek from Senate District 11 down around the Norwalk area. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Great seeing you again.
Thank you. Very kind. We should note real quick before we jump in here, this is not the first time we've seen Hollie. We were able to do a video with a number of the ladies in the neighborhood down there. I'll link to that so you guys can go watch that. We had a fun little IFC special there. Thank you for your participation. You're being a good sport about that. That was great.
It was fun.
All right, so we have a candidate file that we're offering today, so that we're going to ask our 4 basic questions again. Hollie's willing to come on and visit with us about those, so I'll get right to that. Let me share that screen here. There we go. And as we begin, I'll ask the questions just like I do for every candidate, and the context behind those, and then ask the question itself. Hollie will respond, and then we'll turn it over to her so she can tell us a little bit about her and her race. So, first question, and here's the context. History has shown that no gun zone policies do not protect those gathered at schools and other designated locations. In fact, some of the worst mass murders have deliberately targeted these sites because they expected little or no armed resistance. Federal law and the laws of some states permit qualified individuals with valid carry permits to possess firearms in schools and on school property. Your question is this: will you support changing the Iowa Code to recognize an Iowa permit to carry as sufficient for carry in any school?
Yes.
I love that answer. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Insane.
Thank you. Second question. When employers ban firearms and ammunition in private vehicles on company property, employees must choose between violating company policy and forfeiting their ability to lawfully defend themselves during their commute or daily activities. The Iowa Firearms Coalition believes the appropriate balance between employer property rights and individual rights, including privacy and self-defense, lies at the locked door of a private vehicle. The laws of at least 26 states recognize and uphold this stance. Your question: will you support legislation to protect Iowans from the de facto ban on private and public employer parking lots?
100%.
All right. Third question. Since 1934, federal law has strictly regulated, but not prohibited, the private ownership of machine guns, suppressors, short-barreled rifles, shotguns, and other items regulated under the National Firearms Act. Iowa classifies many of these as offensive weapons in Iowa Code Section 724.1. Iowa has allowed private ownership of suppressors, SBRs, SBS, and more for nearly a decade without issue. Nationwide, crimes committed with NFA weapons are virtually non-existent. Iowa is one of only 14 states that ban items like machine guns, which are completely legal on a federal level. The Supreme Court's Bruin decision is being cited to overturn bans and challenge the remaining injustices scattered across America. Your question is this: will you support removing 724.1 and related statutes from Iowa Code?
Absolutely.
All right. Question 4. All right. The Iowa Firearms Coalition supports the creation of a specialty Gadsden flag license plate in Iowa to recognize and celebrate Second Amendment rights while affirming opposition to government overreach. The plate would serve as a voluntary funding source for firearm safety and educational programs through an additional registration fee. Although the proposal passed the Iowa House with bipartisan support in 2024 and 2025, it failed to advance in the Senate. In 2026, Senate leadership, after having given personal assurances, "we're going to get it done," offered Iowans a bait-and-switch bill funding bureaucracies, the NRC, along with Homeland Security and Emergency Management. That was Senate File 2409, by the way. IFC is encouraging Iowans to support the measure, which we believe reflects the will of the people, particularly following the overwhelming adoption of Iowa's Freedom Amendment. Featuring the historic "Don't Tread on Me" motto, the Gadsden flag has long symbolized individual liberty and resistance to unnecessary government intrusion, making it a fitting choice for a specialty license plate. Your question is this: will you support the Gadsden plate legislation that directs voluntary funding for 2A education, safety, and training?
Yes, I love it. I don't understand why it failed.
I don't either, but I'm really, really looking forward to seeing it. So we appreciate your answers to those questions. I realize I was a little robotic, Holly. I apologize. But the truth of the matter is I must remain very consistent for everybody that comes on here with a candidate file, and it's only fair if I do so. So thank you for being willing to come on and visit. I'd like to share your website now. And I'd like to start off before I hand over so everybody understands what's going on. Again, this is Hollie Zajicek from Senate District 11. Now, I rattled off her last name quickly, so I want to spell that for people. So it's going across to the bottom of your screen. But for those listening, it's Zajicek. And it won't be very hard to navigate there and find that. However, if you're looking for Iowa Senate District 11, that's an easy way to do it. But again, Zajicek for Iowa Senate is what you're going to need to put in your browser and navigate there. So I'd like to hand this over to you, Holly. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the things that you'd like for us to know, and I'll scroll through while you're doing that. Go ahead, please.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. Well, I decided to run. I was the last candidate in the race. I had a 3-way primary, and it was a tough race. My 2 opponents had been in the race for quite a while, several months. Senator Julian Garrett had not decided yet if he, planned to seek reelection. So I was not going to run against Senator Garrett. He was a good man. He was well loved. But he made the decision not to seek reelection in March, right before the deadline of turning in the affidavit to get on the ballot. And just had some really good people surrounding me, said, we really need somebody, from the Norwalk area or northern Warren County to get in there and represent the district, the whole district, all of Warren County and Knoxville, because we are such a fast growing area. And they wanted somebody that really understood local government, local control, business development, the free market, how taxes actually work, how, public services work through your property taxes, and all the things that are really kind of on the agenda lately that are, hot topics to people right now. So I made the decision, talked to my husband, we prayed about it. We knew this was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it was important to continue serving the people. I've been a public servant for many years now, working for the city of Norwalk and Warren County Economic Development before that, doing economic development, working with local businesses, helping communities grow. And I love it. I love to serve the public, and this will just be a whole new way to do that. So, and I also feel like, Iowa and the United States, we're always just one election away from real disaster, right? And we see how pendulums swing in any country when you get bad leadership at the state or local level, definitely at federal level. You get just a couple of years of bad leadership. It takes decades sometimes to repair damage that can be done. So it's really important that we keep good people in that are constitutionalists, that really support our fundamental principles of the way the American society was created and why it was created as a republic. And it's not a democracy, it's a constitutional republic. And people, I think, don't either know that or forget it. So it's important and it's worth the sacrifice. And I'm happy to be doing this. So I really hope that I win on November 3rd.
Is there anything that we need to know about you that we don't, I mean, you've got your website here again for people that are just now tuning in. It's Zajicek for Iowa Senate. You type that in your browser, you're going to get there. And Zajicek is Zajicek. So Hollie's running for Senate District 11. Again, that's south of Des Moines, down in that area where Norwalk and it's kind of an odd shaped district, but they all are. So check that out. But what else do we need to know about you before we let you go? And again, thanks for your willingness to come visit with us.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think the only other thing would just be that it's really important at this point in history, whatever side of the aisle anybody is on, that America is paying attention to what's happening across the world and the kind of constant push from our adversaries to destruct and ruin the American system. And it's constantly happening, and we have to always be vigilant. So it's really important to elect leaders that, again, go back to those constitutional principles that protect our God-given rights and that we never, ever veer from that. And again, I'm just a big free market person. Let people do what they need to do with their own property, their own money. Shrink that government down, because anytime government's too big and it's too involved, it makes things expensive, it makes things complicated, and it just ruins things, to be frank. So we really have to make sure that we're going back to that the fundamental purposes and the enumerated powers of the government. So with that, I just am very happy again to serve the public. I love our state, love our country. Obviously, I'm very patriotic, support our military 100%, public safety, veterans, small business owners. So let's do this. Let's win in November and keep Iowa rocking. We're doing good. We're a great state. We're very lucky.
I agree. Thank you very much. Again, Zajicek for Iowa Senate. That's Senate District 11. We appreciate your willingness to come on and visit with us and participate in these candidate files. With that, we'll let you go again. Hollie Zajicek, thank you for today. We look forward to seeing